Hey guys, I'm Si and welcome to Ace Podcast Nation, the home of Keepin It Real with Andrew Thompson. This is our wrestling show where we round up as much wrestling news in 45 minutes to an hour. It's not like your usual structured conversation where you move from subject to subject. Myself and Andrew will literally go from 0 to 100 very quick, and we will scatter all over the place. We'll talk as much wrestling news as we can in under an hour, and you could check out the video versions of all this show and all the other shows at youtube.com/Ace Podcast Nation. Click the bell, subscribe, all that good stuff, and you get the audio versions at all the usual podcast and radio platforms. But with no further ado, introducing the man of the hour. He's in charge of postwrestling.com at the moment. He is a writer, interviewer, YouTube producer, Mr. Andrew Thompson. How are you, mate?
What's good, Si? How you feeling, my brother? How you feeling?
All good. I'm good, mate. It's just like 2 o'clock in the afternoon for me. It's a bit earlier for you. It's 9 a.m. That's not our usual time to record.
It's early start to the day. But I mean, I'm always up this early, so...
Gotta get it, mate. Always working, you are. Every time I speak to you, you're working. You're a busy man. Everybody wants a bit of... wants a piece of Andrew Thompson, which is the best way to have it, my friend.
Hopefully in a positive way.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I've never seen or heard anyone say a bad word about you.
Publicly.
Yeah, well, no. Oh, there was that, wasn't there? There was that one guy from... oh, we won't talk about... I know we're joking. No, I've never heard anyone say anything remotely negative about you. In fact, quite the opposite, which is always a good sign. So before we literally go from one side of wrestling to the other in 30 seconds and scatter around like we normally do, let's talk Survivor Series tonight. One of the big 5 pay-per-views for the WWE. I put a tweet up this morning and I asked the question, is this week the first week where, certainly in recent times, where every single wrestling show on like the main TV channels in the US have all been good? Because it started with Raw, was a pretty good show. Then you had Impact, I saw that this week, that was pretty good. Wednesday, NXT was a lot better, I really enjoyed NXT. AEW was very good, and then SmackDown on Friday was very good. I haven't got around to like Ring of Honor and NXT UK and New Japan, simply because the others, normally I can get around a bit because I get bored and I fast forward some stuff, but like I didn't fast forward any of those stuff.
I was wondering, does New Japan come on at a good time for you?
Yeah, it's not too bad. Sometimes it's a weird time, so it could be like mid-morning. So like it's difficult from a different point of view. Like I got stuff to do or kids and all that sort of stuff. But generally, I'd rather it be on then than I never get to watch like AEW or NXT or WWE live really, because it's on. It finishes at like 6 a.m. sometimes, and it's at my age, mate. That's a no go.
That's you ain't built for that life no more, man.
No way, man. If I could have done it in my teens, like I would have been all about that shit. I used to stay up all night anyway, so I'd watch the wrestling, talk about wrestling. But I don't know how some of the UK like journalists or even some of the YouTubers who talk like wrestling and stuff, they do a lot of their stuff around like the American time, because obviously that's where a lot of their viewers are from, and they they're in the UK, but they do their hustle and their YouTube via the US time. I got a lot of respect for that, but yeah, I'm too old. I can't do it. Struggle to get to 11 o'clock at night, mates, these days. But yeah, I thought all those wrestling shows, I thought they were all good TV this week, which is almost unheard of. You normally get one dud, but I thought they were all pretty good this week. What did you think?
Yeah, I think the TV was pretty solid, from what I remember. For real. Because like that, some of these shows I just be watching, bro, and then the next day I completely forget like
sure.
what happened. But I know I was catching up on AEW last night, because I watched NXT this week and I just alternate. But yeah, I like the for the most part of what I saw from AEW. I like that they got Death Triangle back together.
Yeah.
I always wondered what the original plans was going to be had the shutdown pandemic not happened. I always wondered like maybe Pac might have been the TNT champion and the Lucha Brothers probably would have been the tag team champions by now. So it's always interesting to think about that stuff in hindsight, knowing that, that group was just getting started before the shutdown.
Yeah, it's a weird one because they clearly had big plans for him simply because they put them back together so quickly. Like, it's not as if they've been kind of floundering in that time they've been with Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston has been, a revelation for some people who weren't that familiar with him. He's been very, very good. So it's interesting that they moved the Lucha Brothers away from Eddie Kingston straight away and put him back with Pac. So they've clearly got something brewing. Well, we'll talk about it in a minute, but I'd be interested what they do with Eddie Kingston now, because I do feel like the Butcher and the Blade haven't really connected. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I feel like they're not quite on that same level as the Lucha Brothers, or even as Eddie Kingston. So it'd be interesting to see if they add someone else to that group, or if Eddie Kingston moves away from him. I'd like to see, I think we talked about this before, Santana and Ortiz maybe go with Eddie Kingston. That could be quite interesting, particularly if seeing how MJF and Jericho move on. Very quickly then, Meg, what do you think about that? Like, Butcher and the Blade and Eddie Kingston as a trio and as a group overall?
I think it works well for the story that they got going on right now. I mean, I don't think it's like, I think Eddie Kingston kind of in this weird situation because he lost 2 AEW World Title matches, so
Yeah.
it's like he kind of in that weird spot. I think they kind of should do something with Eddie Kingston like how they kind of did with Brody Lee, but I mean at the same time they can't do that because Eddie Kingston is still somewhat fairly new, and I mean he's only been there for a couple months, signed at least, and Brody's been there since May, so not in May. When was Double or Nothing, bro? But another was May. That was May.
May, yeah.
Yeah. So Brody been there since March. So yeah, it's I think Eddie Kingston kind of is just in a weird spot. That's all.
Yeah, they almost got to kind of rejuvenate both of those guys. Like, obviously, I think Brody Lee is injured, so he's been off TV anyway. But like, I would imagine when he comes back, he'll probably come back with a bit of a bang in some way or shape or form. Right, let's talk Survivor Series. We'll do our predictions now as well. We'll break free of our usual structure where we do the predictions at the end. Is there any match on Survivor Series that you're particularly looking forward to?
New Day versus the Street Profits, Sasha versus Asuka, and McIntyre versus Roman.
Yeah, I think all those are pretty solid matches. Even I think if they give it time, like Bobby Lashley and Sami Zayn could be good, but I got a feeling they'll do something quite short and probably give him like a bit of a squash. They seem to enjoy giving Sami like these kind of embarrassing spots rather than like if they gave them like 10 and 12 minutes they could put on a really good match. But it is what it is, I guess. I would be interested in the men's Survivor Series match. I think there's some real good guys in there, but there's just it doesn't matter. There's no stakes, no nothing. There's no, like, who cares if either side wins? Like, there's nothing on it, and I feel like that's a bit that takes away from maybe how good it could be when you look at some of the talent in there.
Yeah, the men's Survivor Series thing. I think it could be more beneficial for the SmackDown brand because they had more storylines intertwined. And what I thought was they was going to add Big E to the thing, and I thought Big E was going to be the fifth man, and I think that could have been their way to get Roman and Big E at the Rumble, or possibly Roman versus Big E get set up at Mania, because they could have did something where Jey Uso kind of got into it with Big E, and that's ultimately leads to a problem with Roman, and then that's how we get Big E Roman. But at the same time, I'm guessing they can also do Jey Uso could be the reason that the team loses because he'll have some type of issue with Kevin Owens, and he's not really there for Team SmackDown. He's there for Roman. So I mean, I think they could go a lot of ways with this thing, but I think Team Raw is going to win because SmackDown can do more storyline wise coming out of it. I feel like the Team Raw, they don't really have anything coming out of it. Like, but SmackDown,
No.
they have like 3 different avenues that they could take coming out of this.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I see on the Raw team really is they've been kind of pushing towards maybe Sheamus and Braun Strowman, and also I think we'll get like a full-blown Riddle heel turn at some point in the coming weeks. They could do that, but I mean, you don't. I don't know. There's only so much like team miscommunications that I can take, and like the Raw side has been built up this whole match on the fact that they can't get along. So like I feel like if you just do that in the match as well, you've almost. I've seen that for the last few weeks. Whereas like you say with SmackDown, there's a few little guys and feuds that you can start, carry on, begin through that bit of team, not necessarily miscommunication, but arguing or not getting along. I just wish there was something on it. Like if one team won, they got something or did something. It's just very nothing. All right, let's do the predictions. So you got the Women's Survivor Series match, which is Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, Lacey Evans, Peyton Royce and Lana versus Bianca Belair, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, Bayley and Natalya. Who do you see winning that?
I think it's a no-brainer with Team SmackDown. They just got the better overall superstars, and I think they have more star power. And they got the big superstar over there, Bianca Belair, who should be Raw Women's Champion by SummerSlam next year. If she's not, I'm filing a complaint. But yeah, man, I just think Team Raw, they kind of just it's. I mean, like what I think is going to happen. I think they building up Lana to be the sole survivor.
Yes, that's
gonna
especially because they released that. Did you see the thing they released yesterday? I think it was yesterday, where she was talking about. I only saw a clip of it, but I think it was on the network or maybe the YouTube channel. And she was talking about in the clip I saw. She was talking about how Rusev's not there, and she's gone from traveling with him, living with him, and everything, and then suddenly he's not there. And just some of the hate that she gets online every time she posts, and she was talking about like her mental health and how low and how bad she's been feeling. And I just felt like, you know, I believe everything that she said, don't get me wrong. Like, I think that she's had points where she's been really struggling. My thing with it is, I feel like the reason WWE have put that thing out now is to further their storyline with her and get her over as this kind of baby face and who's been through the table and she's going to be the sole survivor. Whereas if they put that out, I know 3 months ago or whatever, I'd have found it really interesting because when I was watching it, I felt really sorry for her, and she's a human being, and I think people on social media forget sometimes that, you know, these guys and girls, they're characters, and there's real people behind them, and at the end of the day, if you haven't got the real people, you can't have the characters. People forget that, I think. But anyway, sorry, I went off on a bit of a tangent. So do you think SmackDown should win, but do you think they will win?
Yeah, I think SmackDown should win. I mean, just on the Lana's part, like, I mean, she's openly spoken about this in the past. I know she did an interview, like, even over the summer when she talked about people were sending her death threats, but not over the summer, but earlier this year or late last year when people were sending her death threats over the Bobby Lashley situation. So I don't think this is like some. I mean, I don't know WWE's picture behind it, but I don't think it was like some thing on Lana's part where she was like,
no, not her, not so whatsoever. I was more WWE and the way their kind of corporate machine works. I was a bit like, yeah, you've put that out there because this and this, but maybe that's just me cynical towards them. But in no way do I think, anything to do with like Lana. She doesn't decide when it goes out and things like that. And I also give her a tremendous amount of credit for not just talking about that kind of vulnerability and stuff. She could very easily have, kept that behind closed doors. It takes a lot to speak about that when you're in the public eye like she is.
Yeah,
and show like a different side to it.
SmackDown should definitely win the thing, and they got too many good stars over there, and they got the Liv Morgan documentary coming out next week, and they've been filming her for 3 years, and I had no clue about that. So it's no way that they don't have some type of plans for her. If you've been filming somebody for 3 years and you documenting this, and you about to
Yeah,
put up
they
a
must have
documentary,
some sort of.
you got some type of plans in store. So hopefully that was coming to fruition.
Yeah, I wonder if they just film everyone for like years just in case. Just because they, I suppose they can, can't they? And I mean, be interesting where they go. I think SmackDown. When you look at that team, SmackDown got to win it. Although they do like Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, but I think Lana will be the last one left. But SmackDown
No, you
will
you wanna know
ultimately
what,
win.
you wanna know what I think is gonna happen? I think that Nia Jax gonna put her through a table when she gonna be knocked out until the end, and then that's how she gonna be the last one left.
Do you? That's why how you think she'll. You don't think they'll give her like the underdog kind of.
No,
They'll just put her out of the match.
Who's she pinning on SmackDown? She pinned Natalia.
She could
I
pin
think that
Natalia, maybe. She could pin. You could have like a thing between Bailey and someone, and Bailey gets distracted, and Lana could get like this huge pin,
you
like
want
a
to do it to Bayley?
roll up.
You wanna do
Well,
it to Bayley?
I wouldn't, but I'm
Right.
saying what I think they in their head they think, oh, it's a distraction, so it doesn't hurt Bailey, but it just makes it look silly. But yeah, if it was me, I'd book it. So SmackDown, maybe Natalia gets pinned, but ultimately I wouldn't pin any of the others, to be honest. I'd probably do it so they win clean. Then it got a dual brand battle royal on the kickoff show. Yeah, I don't know anyone who's in this at the moment. It says to be announced. Do you think we see kind of some NXT guys or anything interesting from this, or do you think it'll just be a run of the mill, the rest of the people who are not on the card type thing?
Run of the mill people not on the card. Probably see a 24/7 title switch during it. So
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I can't say I'm looking forward to that one. Raw vs SmackDown Men's Survivor Series match. AJ Styles, Keith Lee, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, and Riddle.
I think we talked about that.
Yeah, who's going to win though? Probably SmackDown.
Raw.
Raw, SmackDown. I think. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised either way, but for the sake of argument, I'll go with a Raw win. The Raw Women's Champion versus the SmackDown Women's Champion. Asuka versus Sasha. Who you got there, man? I can't see them beating
Sasha
Sasha.
Banks.
Yeah, I can't see them beating Sasha now. After she finally defended the title and beat Bailey twice.
Yeah, it's too early for her to lose. And I don't think they're really doing much with Oscar anyway. So
Do you think it'll be clean, or do you think
Gotta
obviously
be
we've got
clean.
the Carmella thing in the background as well, where
Gotta be
she
clean.
could get involved? Yeah, it should be. But
there's no point in you doing these champion versus champion match. Somebody gotta lose. You can't do a false fit. I mean,
you can't just
Yeah.
do distractions and
you can't do that every
all the
time. Somebody gotta lose.
But I do think one of those matches, one of the title matches, is going to have like a schmozzy finish. And when I look at it, I just can't. I wonder whether they'll do Carmella interference and then Sasha loses because of that. But yeah, they should. Sasha should win clean. Tag team champions versus each other. New Day and the Street Profits. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great match. Who's going to win?
Street Profits.
Give him the big win.
I think New Day at this point of their career, they like untouchable, bro. Like them losing doesn't like nothing to their characters at all. Like they have just reached that level of superstardom under WWE standards. Like they're like these dudes are on the goddamn video game. They doing everything, man. They on talk shows and all this stuff. Like not like, I mean, everybody's on talk shows, but I mean New Day, they just have reached like this, like just upper echelon of just like stardom, and I don't think them losing to the Street Profits is going to hurt them in any way. And I mean, I think it does more for the Street Profits. Like I think if the New Day beats the Street Profits, it does nothing for them. But the Street Profits beat the New Day, it does everything for them.
Yeah, it's a massive win, isn't it, for the Street Profits? You can build them up around that. I think it's really weird that Big E is not on this card whatsoever. Like he's nowhere. I find that incredible. Should he be on the SmackDown? Is he better off missing the pay-per-view and and then just going into a feud afterwards for the next pay-per-view, or should he be in that men's team? I don't know. I mean, he could win the Battle Royal, I guess.
No,
I don't want him in there.
I don't think it's that simple as people might think it is, and him just not being on the show. I think it's more than what people think. So, I can't confirm, but I think people are, they're not looking to. I don't think people have this. Like people probably think that Big E is just not being put on the show just for no reason, and that's not the case at all. So.
Rampant speculation to follow. And then we got the United States champion, which we versus Intercontinental title champion, or whatever. I just Bobby Lashley's going to squash Sami Zayn, isn't he?
I think they could have a good match. I think Bobby Lashley should win, though. I feel like just with Sami Zayn's history and how they've been booking him over the past however many years since he's been up on SmackDown and Raw, I just feel like it's more consistent to have Lashley, since he's like had this like career renaissance under MVP. Yes. So I think it only makes sense that he should win. And I mean, it feels like they're kind of setting up Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn, and Zayn's probably gonna drop the title to Bryan anyway. So I mean, if you're gonna start that process of making Sami look like he can't beat nobody, then I mean, you might as well start right now.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see Bobby Lashley win, also because I think Bobby Lashley might drop the United States title relatively soon over the next couple of months, so he can move up to face Drew McIntyre in the short term. So yes, Bobby Lashley will win that. And then you got Drew and Roman. There's no way Roman's losing, surely.
I'm going with Drew McIntyre.
Oof.
I'm going with Drew McIntyre just because off the strength of that. McIntyre just won the title. Literally just won the title last week. So I don't think it's smart for him this past week for him to be losing and then like, I think Roman is kind of on the same kind of thing with New Day, but not.
Does it hurt his heel character though if he loses now? Like I feel like they're building him up for the big loss eventually down the road.
I don't think it will hurt too much. I think it'll do a little bit of damage, but I mean you can always build him back up, because I think you could have him beat Daniel Bryan for the world. I mean, to retain at TLC or the next pay-per-view, whatever that is. Like you can always build him back up, or you could like have him come out on the next Friday on SmackDown, smacking around Jey Uso, smacking around whoever he toss around, Paul Heyman if he wants to. You can always get it back, but I just think McIntyre losing after he just won the title, I'm like, what's the point? Because I mean, you literally just took the title off him for no reason, just to get it back on him. So
I think with taking the title off him, it does seem overall pointless to give it to Randy Orton then just to take it back off him before Survivor Series. However, I did really enjoy the kind of chase, and I enjoyed what they did with Drew McIntyre's character when he lost the title. I felt like that was fairly decent TV, but I just don't see them beating Roman Reigns now. I feel like they're building his heel character up until they find the right babyface, whether it's Big E at WrestleMania or someone like that. So I got a couple of questions then about Survivor Series for you. Will we see Retribution at some point?
In that band Battle Royal.
God, can you imagine?
Slapjack with the W.
The only reason I'd want to see them in that Battle Royal is if the Battle Royal's going on and they come out and murder everyone and leave just a big pile of WWE wrestlers in the middle of the ring. Otherwise, I don't want to see that. But so do you think we'll see him at all on the Pape?
Maybe doing Bobby Lashley's match. Maybe that's how Sami Zayn beats Lashley.
Yeah. What about Randall Orton and the Fiend? Do you think we see them at any point during this the pay-per-view? I believe.
No.
Just very quickly, we'll see the Fiend when the Taker's there, in some way, shape, or form.
You just a Fiend, Mark. That's all that is.
Well, yeah, we know that. There's no hiding from that. But actually, I've changed my prediction slightly. So before I thought that they would have the Fiend come out and destroy him, and it'd be like a proper kind of passing of the torch without a match. I actually think now that someone like Randy Orton or some sort of heel, someone will come out and kind of outnumber or attack the Undertaker, and we'll have the Fiend make the save, and they'll do like a thing, and the Fiend will disappear, and then the Undertaker will do his pose, and everyone will go, "Oh, thank you, Taker," blah blah blah. But I don't see the Undertaker coming out doing like a little promo and then leaving. There's gonna be somebody involved.
I don't know if you saw, but he did an Instagram live interview with Snoop Dogg yesterday. And he was in a ring.
It's interesting, mate.
He ain't retiring, bro. He ain't retiring. It ain't no way. I'm telling you, he ain't retiring.
I would not be against if they set up a Fiend feud for, say, WrestleMania, and at WrestleMania they do the Fiend versus the Undertaker in a boneyard match or a fun house match or whatever, and that be the way they kind of pass the torch or whatever you want to say. No, that'd be cool. I don't want to see him in a proper match, mate. I gotta say.
I don't think the Fiend's gonna face the Undertaker at all. I don't even want to see that, to be honest with you, bro. I think they're gonna run back Taker and AJ in the ring, because I mean they're gonna be moving to the Tropicana field, and I'm pretty sure that's gonna be their like lead up to actually having fans like in the building. So yeah. So I think that might be. Let me take that back. I would want to see the Fiend and the Fiend get his win over Taker, but I feel like they just gonna end up going the route to AJ versus Taker again, but this time inside of the ring. Because Undertaker's been saying that a lot in these interviews, talking about how he always wanted like a real singles match against AJ and not the cinematic match, even though he enjoyed it.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's like, for me as a fan of the Undertaker, I would rather see him in those type of matches, like a boneyard match or a funhouse match. I don't know. I suppose out of everyone, if you're going to do it with someone, AJ's probably the pick to do it with. But
put him in there with Jordan, Big Jordan.
yeah. Just, or like what's his name?
Dabba-Kato.
Jesus, can you imagine? Put him in there with Nia Jax. That'd be a good match. She'd retire him. Right. So, question for you. Tell me about the Wrestling Roundup this week on postwrestling.com by Andrew Thompson.
Man, there's a lot of stuff up there. The PJ Black got another bad injury. I think he had like 13 screws and 2 metal plates put into his ankle after he tried to like perform some type of world record thing or something like that, and he got banged up real bad. What else was up there? Alexa Bliss said her WWE contract expires in 3 years. So I mean that's the thing. But I mean I don't think that really means anything. I think I think Alexa Bliss is gonna be a WWE lifer. So I don't think that means nothing.
Way, doesn't it? But you never know. Like further down the line. Like, if you had told me, like, I don't know, sort of a couple of weeks ago that Zelina Vega was going to go, I'd have been pretty surprised.
Yeah,
so
good point right there.
You?
Yeah.
Obviously, speaking of Zelina Vega, I saw her a report, I think it might have been Wrestling Observer, I apologise if it wasn't, that said that basically she asked to speak to Vince McMahon the day she got released. She asked to speak to him. And he said no.
Yeah, he said he want to speak to her. That's their report. And I've seen I think a few other credible sources kind of back that. But you listen to some dub smash in the background?
Yeah, sorry, that was my phone. It just started playing. I couldn't get it off.
I see what kind of music you like.
It was one of my podcasts. It just come on. It just started playing. I was like, fuck, I can't get it off. But sorry about that, bro. My bad. I just find it remarkable. Like, I just think Vince McMahon is like, we've talked about him being maybe a bit out of touch in terms of like wrestling in 2020, and maybe he's not the best for kind of the creative side. But like, I just think it was real tone deaf what they did with all the Twitch streams. To when you're in like a pandemic, all your wrestlers are getting less money because they don't get pay-per-view money anymore. They don't get a cut of the network. You've got all these things, so then a few of them build up this Twitch following or social media following where it can give them extra money, particularly for someone like Zelina Vega, who's on the very kind of bottom tier of WWE downside guarantees. Do you really need to like make an example of them and take it off them and threaten them with being fired and then release them? Really? Was Zelina Vega's Twitch in her real name having any effect whatsoever on the WWE as a whole? And it's that sort of thing which I think turns wrestling fans away from the WWE.
Yeah, I think that was just I think that was the whole point of it for it was for them to set an example, and they wanted to make an example of somebody, whoever's gonna be that first person to step up. That's who's gonna be that example. But I think if it was been somebody, let Roman Reigns be like, oh yeah, I'm about to get on Twitch. They ain't gonna. What you gonna say to him?
Yeah,
they'll probably try to convince him. But
I saw Alex McCarthy said earlier on his Twitter that Undertaker was on Cameo. He was selling 30.
WWE was promoting him on Cameo.
That's great.
I mean, it's obviously a partnership. Like it's obvious the fact that they even promoting them on Cameo. But I think it just sends a bad message to the locker room. Like, oh yeah, we could promote this dude on Cameo, but the rest of y'all got to shut y'all thing. It's kind of the same thing. Like you remember a couple months ago when WWE released their own wine?
Yeah.
Dude, Carmella had made her own wine. They ain't promote that goddamn thing. They ain't retweet nothing. They ain't share nothing. I'm like, what type of y'all supposed to like? I think WWE's thing is, man, like they're afraid of talent becoming bigger than the company. Like and that only matters. That only works when it only doesn't work when it's like it's like you can't control it. Like when you see the popularity that Sasha Banks has, and her actually having her real name as the credit for the Mandalorian, and that Sasha Banks and that Mercedes Bernardo was in the credit. I think I think they just can't control stuff like that, and I think WWE would have preferred for it to be Sasha Banks in the to be named in the thing, but that's her credit now. That's forever gonna be her credit. So like I feel like
she's clever for doing that. I think as well. By the way,
I feel like their issue is just they don't like when superstars become bigger than the company, so they try to prevent that because like once that happens, it allows room for the talent to not need them
WWE
as much. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Well, I think they if I like looking at it from Vince McMahon's point of view, I think he thinks that they got like stabbed in the back or they got bit by The Rock and then Austin and then John Cena. So they're like, they almost don't want your Roman Reigns or your Sasha Banks or whoever to get to that point. Like Roman Reigns is now the top star in the company. They almost don't want him to become like a Hollywood superstar because then he doesn't need WWE. So they got this weird thing where they'll promote the top guys and they'll promote them to a certain level, but they almost kind of don't want it. And I think Sasha Banks was very, very clever and astute to have that credit for the Mandalorian being her real name.
Because Sasha Banks probably has a lawyer. A very good lawyer.
Well, this is what I want to see. All these guys who, let's be honest, a lot of them get their opportunities because of the WWE, which you can't deny. You can't deny that. Yeah. But I hope but real quick, I ain't gonna cut you off. But Sasha Banks, she didn't get discovered for Mandalorian by WWE. She got discovered because she was on Hot Ones. That's right, I read that. Yeah.
so that wasn't WWE. That was on a show.
But what I would do is, I hope where people see like what's happened to Zelina Vega and what's happened to AJ Styles and all these people who had all their stuff stopped, is when they get this opportunity to be in like a mainstream TV show like that. And there's been various wrestlers over the years who've made cameos in big TV shows because of the WWE. I hope they start using their real names instead of their gimmick names, and makes the WWE sweat a little bit, because you can't tell me that the morale in that WWE locker room at the moment is good, because everything I've read is that Zelina Vega is very popular. Everything, you know, she's married to Aleister Black. Where he must stand in the WWE now, as an Aleister Black fan, like, I'm quite worried in terms of his WWE career, because they ain't doing nothing with him now.
I'm about to say you could go on WWE TV right now. They're gonna make him do the job to you. I'm just playing. I don't know what they're gonna do.
If they got any sense, mates, they'd push him to the moon, but they won't. And I got a feeling that we either A, don't see him at all, or B, he'll just kind of be released quietly. But, you know, he can go to AEW, mate, and make a massive statement, or New Japan.
I highly doubt. I'm talking about like 98% doubt they'll release him. They won't do that. I doubt WWE would even think about releasing him. If anything, they'll make him ride out the rest of his contract and just sit on the sidelines. Like they're not just gonna give no company no free pass to get Tommy in or Aleister Black. It's not gonna happen. I'm telling you, bro. Like he's going to ride out the rest of this contract, whether he likes it or not.
Yeah, one way or the other, I suppose. He already asked to go back to NXT, I read.
Yeah. So I mean, they declined that. So
that's mad. Like, he is, especially when you look at that SmackDown roster.
Well, let me say, because I don't know if they declined it, but I think he tossed the idea out there, and I don't think anybody really got back to him as far as the idea goes. So I mean, I
actually don't think that's the best. Yeah, it would be good, but I actually don't think that's the best thing for him. Like, not for me to tell him, you know, what's best for him, but in terms of like the talent and WWE, they could really use him on the main roster. He's on SmackDown, isn't he, at the moment, technically? And you look at that SmackDown roster where you've got Big E and you've got Roman Reigns at the top, and then you've got guys like Daniel Bryan on their kind of last run, and Ziggler and people like this with experience. Like, they could really, like, if they did it right and built up your Big E, and they built up Jey Uso, and they built up Aleister Black as the next wave of main event stars, they could have, like, you know, like back in the day where you had the SmackDown 6 or whatever it was, and you had like all those top level stars who would just rotate into the main event. They've got the talent to do that on both Raw and SmackDown. They just don't seem to want to create those new stars, and I do wonder if it's through fear of them getting over to a point where the WWE can't control it. Because you look at, like, even Bray Wyatt, like, how many times has there been where you feel like they're finally going to pull the trigger on him to be that kind of top star, and they just back off a little bit and they have him lose a main event match, or they have him lose a big match. And they've done that with a few guys where they build him up, everyone's behind them, and then they just take a few steps back, almost like they don't want to quite push them all the way to the moon. It's a weird one, mate, because you'd think they'd want all their stars to be as big as possible, and at the end of the day, if they treated their stars with the respect they deserve, would they want to leave anyway?
Yeah, you got raised some solid points, man.
Do you know why that is? It's because I'm a solid dude.
Debatable.
Yeah, I used to be a solid dude, and then you stole all my ideas, and then I just became a dude. So I discovered something this week, though, mate. Right. So the last probably 5 weeks, I've watched AEW, like first thing Thursday morning when I wake up, and then I've kind of caught NXT afterwards. Sometimes I haven't watched NXT until Friday, maybe even Saturday, and I haven't really enjoyed it that much compared to AEW. This week I watched NXT first thing when I got up on Thursday. Really, really enjoyed it, and I'm starting to wonder whether it's just whichever one I watch first, I kind of enjoy the most, and then the other one I kind of just catch, because I really enjoyed both shows this week. Was NXT that much better this week than it normally is?
No, I mean, I think NXT has some real consistent television over the last couple of weeks. I feel like, you know, especially with them kicking off that one thing that I really like that they're doing is like the kind of story arc with Leon Ruff. Like, they didn't drag it out of him being like this underdog. Like, now Leon is like pissed off because everybody's trying to act like he's some chump and he can't defend the title and he need everybody help, and so now he just lashing out at everybody else because he feel like he getting disrespected. And I feel like that was like a real good choice to like not
Yes.
drag the whole underdog or I did it thing. Like they made the switch real quick. So I think that's a good thing for them. And it actually adds more intrigue to Leon Rush than him being this underdog baby face. I feel like that only worked for 1 week and they caught it at the right moment. So and I'm interested in War Games. I'm good to see you know, they got the but War Games is like in 2 weeks, bro. Like
Crazy that, isn't it?
yeah, War
So
Games in
quick.
2 weeks. We got the Undisputed Era versus the Brand, and then we got Shotzi and Candice leading their teams. I think it's probably gonna be Candice, Indy Hartwell, Dakota, and Raquel versus Shotzi, probably Tony Storm, Ember Moon, and
One other baby face, maybe a Casey Catanzaro. Maybe they'll stick someone like that in to give him a bit of a rub. I'm sure there's someone else.
I wonder what the hell they gonna do War Games at, because that Capitol Wrestling Center don't look big enough.
It doesn't, does it? It doesn't look big enough at all. One thing I did really like on NXT this week was after Timothy Thatcher defeated August Gray via submission.
He's about to say Timothy Watcher.
Yeah, and then we had the great Tommaso Ciampa. I know he's your favorite star.
Good joke.
Nah, he come out and faced Timothy Thatcher, and I thought that was actually like a cool little interaction, and I think they could have a good match. So I look forward to that. Damian Priest, he's a weird one for me, mate, on NXT, because I feel like he's got all the tools. He's got a fantastic look. Everything which he's got and he offers NXT, I feel like they could do something really good. But I'm not sure if I'm the kind of Playboy gimmick is the one. I don't know. But Kevin Owens on guest commentary next week on NXT as well.
I think it's because Wade Barrett probably about to go overseas. Probably. Can people travel to the UK?
Yeah, I think they can.
Yeah, so
but I think you've got to be like a certain level of person to be able to. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, there he is.
The athletes can move, but no one else apparently. It doesn't affect the athletes supposedly. What else did I enjoy? What did you think of the NXT Women's Title match between Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley? Was it up there with the? Was it as good as Walter versus?
No.
What's his name?
No, it's not. It's not.
We never talked about that. There was a banger, mate.
I don't even think it was better than Io versus Candice at the Halloween Havoc. I mean, but it was a real good match. So,
did you see?
Io Shirai always has great matches.
Yeah, she is, in my opinion, the greatest women's wrestler of the last couple of years, and she is still, at the moment, she is still the best in the world, or the boat, as Natalia would say. Did you see, just a couple of days before NXT, certain Mr. Finn Balor tweeted, he just tweeted an image on his Twitter account. He didn't put any words with it, didn't reply to any of his tweets or anything like that. He just posted a picture of him, AJ Styles, and Adam Cole all together. Not even all together, they were just three separate pictures next to each other. People lost their collective minds as you do. Everyone was saying, "Oh, Balor Club, blah, 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 blah." Do you think, because it was interesting that he posted that and then they brought back him and Adam Cole on the same night? Do you think that's just because of War Games, basically? Or do you think there's anything in it?
No, I think Finn Balor's just a tease, and he's smart.
He is smart.
And he knows what people want, so people want to see that. So
yeah, November 17th it was. He posted a picture of him, AJ, and Adam Cole all in suits with like white shirt and black tie. So they're all dressed the same, all next to each other. Interesting. I'm going to use it as a thumbnail, actually. But I would love to see it. But it would have been. I would have loved to have seen them do something with Gallows and Anderson and those three, or Gallows and Anderson. You got the Undisputed Era. They could have done something real cool. They just never quite pulled the trigger on any of them as a group. I mean, but so what were the men's War Games going to be? It's going to be Undisputed Era versus the Brand.
Yeah,
So who's Finn Balor gonna face? Do you think at that pay-per-view for the title?
I don't know if he's cleared.
I just think if he wasn't cleared, why would you bring him back?
To give off the illusion that he'll be back soon and not worry anybody, and kind of calm down the speculation that he's probably going to relinquish the title.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Because I mean, I don't think a broken jaw is it's something that you just come back. It's something.
Oh no, of course, yeah.
You just come back from.
But then, like, I did wonder, did they bring him back just so they're kind of telling people, look, we haven't got to. We haven't got to take the title off him, basically.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. AEW, a certain Mr. Hobbs turned on Cody. We called that last week. Nicely done. Pat on the back for myself and you. How did you think it was executed?
I think it was time, and I'm glad to see Will Hobbs get that spotlight.
It was. It'd be interesting now what they do with that Taz's group, because they got like a wide variety of looks and some really talented guys in there. So I'd be very, very interested in how they proceed with it, and who gets the big push, who gets the kind of mid card push, etc., etc. But yes, so I'm quite looking forward to Survivor Series tonight. Not because I think it's going to be any sort of amazing show, but there's got a lot of guys on there which I've got an interest in. Whether it's Keith Lee, Riddle, people like this, all people I enjoy watching wrestle. So, and obviously the Taker is there. Going to see him and the Fiend, aren't we, Andrew?
No.
Yes, we are. Get on board. Get on board the Fiend's train. Or get off the station.
Let's get off the station. Let's get the hell off the station. Ladies and gentlemen.
Get off this damn show.
This is Andrew Thompson of the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel. Please go subscribe to my Man Size Ace Podcast YouTube channel. Not mean to be a rush, but it is a busy day.
Subscribe to this. YouTube.com/Ace Andrew Thompson Interviews. And subscribe to Ace Podcast Nation on YouTube, because we always have a good time talking the Graps. We'll be back soon, probably next week, but we'll see if the busy man can fit it into his schedule, because everyone wants a piece of Andrew Thompson, and now you know why. Andrew, it's a pleasure as always, mate.
We'll probably do something before SmackDown, this week's SmackDown.
Yeah, man. That sounds good to me. Andrew, it's always a pleasure, my friend. I appreciate you fitting me into your busy schedule. You're holding down the fort at Post Wrestling, because top guy.
I appreciate you having me on, man.
You take it easy, my friend. You have a good day, and we'll be back next week. See you later. Check out all the other shows on Ace Podcast Station's YouTube channel. Subscribe. Say hi. Hi.